Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hooked up. It's time for some holiday action movies, baby. That's
That was a
right.
great intro. That was a
That was
great
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you for that. The Kung Fu Avengers have returned on another episode of Versus. That's right. We're doing Die Hard versus Die Hard 2. Die Harder. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have fun talking about both these movies. But first up, introducciones, my friend. All right. We have Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast in the house. How you doing, my brother?
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Ah, you beat me to it. You beat me to it. Love it. I love it. And of course, the Kung Fu Santa himself. Santa is here. That's right. And wait, hold on. Let me blow up the shirt.
Nope.
It's interesting. You got to blow it up. Hold on.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
right
Look at that.
on.
Superman denying Santa from the
Not
chimney.
helping him, pushing him into the chimney. He's pushing
That
him.
is brilliant.
Oh, he's
He's
pushing.
stuck.
He's trying to help him. Okay, he's helping
some
him.
help.
Okay, love it. Now they can see it better. Oh, hold on a second. Whoa, we got to. He made it. Hold on.
Oh,
wow.
Hey,
right on.
Full house.
You rock.
made it.
Oh, what's going on, Eric?
Nothing much. Nothing much.
Hey, glad you can make it, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait to
Oh,
chat.
Oh, yeah. Legal chatting movies. Yeah. And Ian from Retro
Yes.
Serial has returned. Welcome back, my friend.
Glad to be here. Glad to be part of this amazing group and this amazing conversation we are going to have.
When I sent you the link, what we were gonna talk about, you're like, yes,
Oh yeah.
I am in for sure.
I was like, count me in.
Yeah. And of course, my brother from another mother, Derek from Flick Snacks and Knickknacks, Nicks and Naxons, all that stuff, all that good shit.
All of
Welcome
it.
back, my friend.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
right. And the tag team champions of metal and horror, baby. We have DJ Neko and the Nubis.
Hans,
representing the Metal
Booby,
Tavern.
I'm your white knight.
Oh, Metal Tavern Podcast representing. And Frank, the master of remasters, back. How you doing, brother?
Schießt den Fenster. Shoot the glass.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, this is going to
Yeah.
be fun.
We didn't think he was going to make it, but he said, I'm gonna make a way, make it happen. We
Man,
have
my word.
the legend here, Owen from
Daisy.
the Action Elite. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Show us
look
the
at
show.
that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Right on.
Owen's like, I wasn't gonna be denied today.
No, I had to be here.
Yeah, man. Welcome. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
He ran the last 6 miles home.
Yeah.
Sounds
All
about
right.
right.
Who is here? The Movie Dojo Army showing up. We got Jake Hall in the house. Tyler, John Martinez. Who else we got here in the house? We got Robert in the house. Lady Danish, Gene, Thomas, let's go. And Severio, Thrash Pondo is here. And he says here, Thrash Pondo says, 2 of his favorite Christmas movies. Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Thrash.
All right, I'm going
Right
to kick
on.
it off here. 1988. Die Hard, baby. Directed by John McTiernan. And y'all know the plot synopsis of both these movies. We're just going to move it on. We're just going to get straight to it. So the first time I saw Die Hard, unfortunately, was on TV with a young little samurai, and I watched it on TV and
Oh,
panel
nice.
scan,
Panel
with
scan.
commercials, and it was edited. You know, Mr. Falcon, son. That was it. You know, I thought I was in. I thought I was cool too. Yeah, hey, Mr. Falcon. Yeah, my friends were looking at me like,
What are you talking about?
Mr. Falcon.
Who's
What?
Mr.
What? Right? But still, even in Paniscan with commercials, with it edited, all the cool stuff taken out, I really loved the movie. I really enjoyed it. And then when I got a chance to rent it at Blockbuster Video, wow, what a difference! I rented it there on VHS and watched it uncut. And man, I was just like, oh hey, all the violence, all the blood, all the fun stuff. And all the Koisen, yes, and Mr. Falcon was replaced by the fun words that we love saying a lot. But yeah, just love the movie even more. It's iconic. It's just 5 stars, man. It has everything, you know. And really quick though, I gotta ask Mr. Rick here. Rick, is this the first time we've seen a character like McClane? an everyday guy cop thrown in a situation, and he was kind of like the underdog action hero, and he still overcame. Because everybody else was greased up and buffed, and
Well,
huge
well,
body
then I'll
count.
talk about, that's my main thing about this.
Okay.
When I did my lecture in front of the Walt Disney Studio about screen action, I specifically pointed out this film because this was the first time that we had a character who has the four most important attributes for a screen hero to get the audience involved, which is passion, compassion, effort, and emotion. You're absolutely right. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, they gave the impression that shooting a gun was easy and that killing someone was easy. And the more people you killed, the easier it got. Now, I was writing the Dirty Harry books at around this time for Warner Books. So I went and shot every weapon that was available to me to shoot. Machine guns, sniper rifles, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it bothered me so much that movies from the very outset pretended guns were something that they were not. They pretended they were toys. And if you actually put how guns actually worked in a movie, I think I can count on two fingers the movies that ever showed a hot shell coming out of the gun, of the automatic or the machine gun, and hitting the guy next to you. You talk to people who are actually in battle and all the rest of it, and they'll tell you these horror stories about how dangerous guns are. But this was the first movie where we had a guy outside. I mean, this was before the gun fu films of John Woo. And in those, Chow Yun-fat showed the two things that John McClane shows, which is when he pulled the trigger, there's a rush of power, but there's also a rush of fear. And Chow Yun-fat got it. Bruce Willis got it. Chow Yun-fat was forced to lose it when he came to America, but he was consistent in all his movies. And sadly, after Die Hard 3, he went back to being an uncaring Superman again. But yeah, I was hoping that would be the norm from now on.
Right.
But in this movie and in the next movie, incredible. Just incredible.
Nice. Is that it for Die Hard? I kind of segued to you.
He's like,
Is
it's
anything
you.
else you want
It's
to
your
say?
turn.
The one other thing about Die Hard that really is making it tough for me to decide is that the one thing that Die Hard has, in addition to John McClane, is the Mads Mikkelsen of his time. Alan.
I like that.
One of the great villains of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that makes it so interesting and balanced is that the rest of the cast looked like they came from the Carol Burnett show. They were all doing their Harvey Norman and Tim Conway and Vicki Lawrence. And I mean, the rest of the cast, outside of this guy and Bruce Willis, the cast thought they were on a road show of some sort.
I saw Fabio in the back.
I know, with the blow-dried hair.
Yeah, but all the villains were astonishing. It was a perfect balance. So that's all I have to say about Die Hard.
All right. Nice. I like that. The Mads of the 80s. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Eric,
you are taking like listening to you is like taking a master's course in film, man. we should get a degree after this. For
Amen.
sure.
Take notes, chat.
Yeah.
I'll call E-Rock. That way we don't have to mix up the Erics here. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about some of the ancillary stuff or the side stuff. I actually like the product placement in this movie. There's a lot of it. I mean, when Hans, he'll just mention, Forbes magazine or Times or something like that. And it seems like perfectly natural. He's so smooth that it's like, wait, that was just product placement right there, There's, we get the whole display of chocolates that Al Young is eating before the gunfight. Sergeant Al Powell provides a detailed description of the ingredients of a Twinkie. It's just like, it's just fantastic product placement. And there are so many memorable side characters in this film. It's kind of ridiculous. We get the cop, the main goon, Carl, right? You got the douchebag news reporter who has his own moments. Al Lung's goon character. And then you have Argyle, who's like one of my favorite limo drivers in motion picture history. Yeah. And then we get a You get a Robert Davi bonus, which is another.
Yep.
It's just like this movie's absurd, and I like the humor a lot. You know, I think my favorite scene of the movie is when Bruce is shooting up the police car, and then it cuts to Argyle jamming in the limo, and you see the car getting cut up in the back.
Yeah, he's really getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite comedy scene. And the other scene that I like to point out that I really like is when Hans goes up to check on the detonators.
Yes.
And he gets that scene with McClane. And there it's like a cat and mouse scene where Hans even picks a name off the wall that he just happened to see, when he was up there. And I love that scene. That's one of my favorite exchanges in the film. And then Alan Rickman, I freaking love that guy, man. He was great. So great flick.
Yeah,
that's right. Gruber. Ian.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, this show has all the makings of a classic, and it deserves to be a classic. It deserves to be a classic because it has a compelling good guy story and a compelling bad guy story, and a compelling story between the two that really link the two together in a very memorable way. John McClane is a typical, he's a cop, but he's the typical guy who gets sucked into something that he wasn't prepared for. And as you were saying earlier, Rick, he's one of these guys, and Samurai was saying this too. He's one of these guys that's unprepared, which was something that was a little bit new to a degree. So you can think of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Commando, where he gets kind of sucked into something too. But he's a commando, you know what I mean? He's all jacked. He knows how to shoot a gun. He knows how to do this. This is one of those things where it's just enough of a movie out there that you can kind of imagine yourself being in, but also there's enough of a wall for it to be a movie so that you don't imagine yourself in it. It walks that fine line of being able to say, man, that'd be cool if something like that happened to me. I can really identify with John McClane in these ways, but there's also a sense of, hey, I'm glad that's not happening to me. And I'm glad I'm just viewing it and living it on screen rather than living it in real life. And that's the magic of that, of a movie that really becomes a classic, is when it's able to do that, to be able to be both, both the person you kind of want to be, but kind of glad you're not, and you're living it through the movie. So it's a great movie. Of course, there's the debate. We just had this on my channel on Monday night, where we talked about controversial Christmas movies. And that was one of the movies that came up as to whether or not it's a Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie. And in the end, I let everybody decide. I'm not going to tell you what movies are Christmas movies to you. And for a great many people, this is a holiday classic. And so, people watch this a lot at Christmas, and so it means a lot. So I know that's part of the reason you're doing it, at this time of year as well, is because it's one of those
representing,
quote unquote Christmas movies. So it's a classic movie. Loved it. There were some downfalls to it as well, as far as some of the cheesiness of the story, like, compelling the cops that there's something wrong. Well, why doesn't he just shoot the gun in the air? Why does he have to throw a body off the, he could have done many things to alert the police as to what was happening. And then the story with the cop that he kind of becomes friends with as well. He's talking about like how he killed a kid accidentally, and I think his redemption arc is a little weak. It's like he's getting over trying to be a cop back, and not necessarily getting over, the death of the kid that he unjustly killed or whatever. So that arc was a little weak in my opinion, but great movie, classic, and deserves to be a classic.
All right. We're gonna switch it here. I'm gonna go straight to E-Rock.
Oh wow. Well, I saw this. My parents were huge Bruce fans in the 80s. So when it came out, I was a little young, but I saw it years later. The thing that kind of stuck with me to this is I was always into like the whole action hero persona back then, of course. But I wish I could. This is one of the movies I wish I could go back and forget I saw it, because the first time I saw it, I felt like Bruce Willis got across really well, like that he wasn't going to make it. Like he was just like not even going to survive the night. Like, so the whole time I'm like, what? I mean, there could be a sequel, but if he makes it, so that I was surprised with. It was a little gorier than I thought it would be the first time around. Like I was like, okay, I can do this. It's Alan Rickman's second best villain role, in my opinion. My first is the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Oh
It's not
no!
Snape?
Yeah,
it is
obviously
not.
it's Snape.
It is not.
I'm glad it's not a spoon.
That hurts more, you twit. Little extra points for me is the Ode to Joy, because Beethoven is my favorite classical composer. So that was a little. I always love a good classical entry into the movie. And I mean, there's not really. I mean, who am I to say, like, to critique Die Hard? To me, it's 10 out of 10 for me, because
Hey.
it was just one of those that there'll never be another one of.
There you go. Awesome. Love it. Frank.
Well, yeah, I'll make it brief since we have so many guests here. So I think John McTiernan really made two of the best action films. Predator, this, and Die Hard 2. I mean, like, he would be remembered just for these three films. I think.
Yes.
I remember seeing this at Granite Theater in Oakland. It was like sold out, and lining up, buying tickets. There was so many people. By the time I got in, I was like, I missed that whole opening scene. So when I went in, when I went into the theater, it was right after he got to the Nakatomi Plaza. So I missed all that, plane stuff, the ride with Argyle. I missed all of that, but still, I had a great time. Again, a great action film really depends on having a great villain, and obviously you have this wonderful villain in Alan Rickman. Me and my roommate would always do dialogue. I mean, we love this film so much, we would be doing imitation of him saying the line, like the rooftop scenes. Oh no, you are one of them. That sort of thing, and and also like shoot the glass, obviously, and also ladies and gentlemen. So we just had a great time. But it just tells you how memorable his villain he was. I also like how the film very slightly introduced the building to you in the beginning, like the first, like, say, 30 minutes of the film. So once the action started, you knew right away where he was, or like where everybody was, because he already showed you all these different rooms and stuff. Also, I mean, I agree some of the other villains is a little bit stereotypical. I mean, like the Asian guy with the candy fixation. But I do like Kao. I like the brother, Kao, played by Alexander Godunov. I think it was wonderful. He's a ballet dancer, actually, from Russia. I think it was great. I like how vulnerable he was. Again, this was, I think, the first time you actually show how the vulnerability of your hero. That he can, like we mentioned earlier, he could die any moment. Like that scene with him plucking out the glass. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cringeworthy. But what I like the most is how it builds up. How it really builds up, and then it pays off so handsomely at the end. You're thinking, oh, this is going to go big, and it did. It went big, right? It went big. The rooftop explosion, helicopter, and all that stuff. So it really meets you. Yeah, I mean, you were hoping something like something this big would happen in the climax, and it gave it to you. And that, to me, is the most satisfying aspect of this film. It's almost like a James Bond film. It builds up, it builds up, builds up. There's a wonderful finale right here. I mean, this is just all great stuff, So yeah, definitely a classic. I don't think this is really a Christmas movie just because of the fact it was set in LA. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Frank, you're asking for it. Watch me.
I know. Which movie is the most Christmas movie to me of all time? Eyes Wide Shut. Every scene is Christmas. every scene's
boy.
decoration, all that stuff. But that's for another
Eyes
discussion.
wide shut. I've
That's
never
another
heard
video.
that.
Yeah, he went
before.
way off the reservation with that.
I know, but it's talking about
Wow.
Christmas here.
TMI,
No,
Frank. Do it.
That's
TMI.
interesting.
no, nothing can beat Eyes Wide Shut in terms of the Christmas atmosphere. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's also-
wow! Look at that.
I know there's also
Representing.
Die Hard too. So we'll get to
Representing.
that. We'll get to
Eyes
that.
wide
But,
shut there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a great classic. I remember how the audience cheered twice. You know, when Hans Gruber fell. You know, he grabbed. You know, they're trying to grab on. I mean, he's about to shoot them. Yeah, and then he fell, and then the audience cheered, and then of course later on when the cop shot the cow in the end. Again, you know, just a great time at the movies, and I always remember it. And you know, I watched this movie like at
Hope
at
that's
least
not a
50
terrorist.
times. Never get tired. What?
Hope that's not a civilian
Yeah, I know.
hostage.
Yeah, and also, one more thing I had to point out. There's one. I like how Materan used a very slightest, like a dialogue, one line to showcase some of the characters, like you know, like the FBI guy in the helicopter. You know, they're just like fucking Saigon. You know, that's all you need to know about. No, really, that's all you need to know about how crazy he is because he was enough. You know, and all you need he didn't even need to waste time explaining his background. All you need is just one line of him sitting in a helicopter flying to LA and said, just like fucking Saigon. That's all you
That's
need
a
to
good
know.
point. Yeah.
That just tells you all you need to
30%
know
of the
about the character.
hostages.
Yeah, very. You know, this is a very economic way of letting you know more about these characters. I think that that's fantastic.
But that might not be McTiernan. That might be the screenwriter.
Oh yes, so of course, right.
Yeah.
The screenwriter.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, the scriptwriter. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I speak
Interesting.
up for writers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have to agree with Frank too when he was saying, you know, the towers themselves started to become a character in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's totally like
Nakatomi.
yeah, they took on their own persona.
Right.
And I know, I get it. People are inside, people are climbing up, people are falling off, they're exploding. But you say Nakatomi Tower, and people understand what Nakatomi Tower is.
Yeah.
Like it would be like saying the Statue of Liberty. Who doesn't?
Right.
You know, it's like its own entity.
Right. Or Nostromo. Right.
Yes.
Right, right. Frank got to represent that sci-fi. He had to throw it in at the end. I love it. Rick, do you know, Rick, if anyone's taken a toll of how many movie villains have fallen to their death? I wonder.
That's Disney's gambit. Walt Disney will never wants, like Jackie Chan in the second half of his career, he never wants to defeat anyone. He just wants to throw them off screen. This whole thing is we're not going to kill anybody in an animated movie, but we'll let them drop off something very high.
You can assume what you want. You know?
Yeah.
That'll be my next book. People who fall off buildings in movies.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, Neko, go for it.
Me? What?
Yeah.
So I have to make.
Just scoot away. Go over there.
I'm gonna make a confession that I've never even told DJ Anubis.
Oh shit.
And we've been together since 2002, so this is a big one.
Oh no.
I had never
this
seen
divorce
Die
material?
Hard
Wait, what?
until I met him, and I bought it for him for Christmas. Our first Christmas, December 2002. I bought him the Die Hard trilogy. The only Die Hard I had seen up to that point was Die Hard 3. I don't know why, but it was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I met him. We watched Die Hard. I'm like, this is amazing. And because I feel like Die Hard 3 just went off on its own tangent, which I completely respect because I absolutely love that movie as well. But
yeah,
Die Hard was not what I was expecting. And I did a little research on Die Hard, and apparently it was based off a book called Nothing Lasts Forever. And I'm like, okay. And I'm reading through the synopsis of the book, and it's fairly similar, except for a couple of small details. They changed the names and they changed some details, like with who dies, who lives, etc. But I found that completely fascinating because this is a movie for the last, since 2002. He was like Die Hard forever, MFers. And we watched it and watched it and watched it. And then I researched it just recently. And I'm like, I did not realize that it was something that was based off of a book. Because you think of things that are based off a book, you're like, oh, it's a Stephen King novel or it's Lord of the Rings. this was a completely unique idea that someone brought to the table, and then they put Bruce Willis in the role. And he and I were just watching it recently, well, for this, and we're like, Bruce Willis this is his like first action hero sequence. And you know, when you think of Bruce Willis back in '88, he didn't really have that whole action hero kind of persona. He was still doing the rom-coms.
Mhm.
So when I put all of that into perspective, I was like, holy crap. First of all, I've always loved Die Hard from day one that I saw it, but I did my research and I'm like, I feel a big appreciation for Die Hard. Like, I felt like everything came to fruition for this movie that had this amazing cast and all the action. But then they had the one-liners, and then you're like, totally, I want John McClane and Holly to be together, and I want this to happen, and I want everything to be A-okay. So that's what kind of like got me with Die Hard back in Christmas 2002 when I bought this for DJ Anubis.
Anubis, all I have to say is you have done well, my friend. You have chosen wisely. And Neko, what is that shirt you're wearing there? You can show us there? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Lady Fat Blood.
Represent.
Represent, son. Lady Fat Blood shirt. That's right. Anubis, what are you wearing?
This is Worm Witch.
Representing the metal.
Hey, can I show mine?
Nice. All right, Anubis.
Can I show mine?
Yeah, come on, Frank.
Well, hold on. Let me blow it up, Frank. All right, hold on. There you go. Hey, all right.
I think DJ Anubis wants that shirt, actually.
You're representing that sci-fi, son. All right, Anubis. Anubis, Die Hard. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this kind of short.
You got Bane down there.
But it's funny because certain movies, and I know this goes with everybody that's on this panel, is that you remember certain movies at certain times in your life. I was 18 when I saw this in the theater, and you didn't have internet, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have all that stuff to like kind of promote it. So like, obviously I must have seen the trailers for it on TV or something, but something really drew it to me. And I don't know if Rick knows this or anything, if he had any backstory. For some reason, I had to travel from Aurora, Colorado to Littleton, which is only about an hour, but in order to watch it at a theater, I had to actually travel.
So it was like limited release?
I think maybe early on, but I went and did it anyway, just because I really wanted to see this film. And I did not leave disappointed at all. And just some of my favorite scenes out of this was like when I think it was who brought the helicopter? Was it Frank?
Yeah.
You know, when it blows up, you got what's his face, Vernon, going,
right.
I guess we're gonna need some more FBI guys.
Yeah.
You know, I also like the whole Christmas thing. Like, I think one of the reasons, beside the fact that it happens around that time, is it's also the characters are kind of using it. So, like when Theo is actually doing his little drilling into the vault, you know, he's like, okay, we got these squad guys or these SWAT teams coming in. He's like, all right. It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house is nothing to strike except for these little idiots outside or some shit like that. He's saying that they're coming up. And then Bruce Willis, like his wit throughout this. Like I had seen the show Moonlighting, and I think he did Blind Date with Kim Basinger, and those movies are hilarious. So I knew he had that kind of humor. So when he did this whole action thing, I was like blown away. It really fit him, and so I really liked that a lot about him. And the last thing I'll point to, and there he is. One of my favorite villains is Carl, man. That is a great character. I really like that guy.
I love Carl. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my favorite joke in the film was, do I sound like I'm trying to order a fucking pizza? To me, that was like the best line.
Well,
Shit,
right.
lady, what are you doing? I'm ordering
To
pizza.
quickly answer your question, the casting of Bruce Willis was wildly controversial.
Oh, wow.
And also to add a couple of, I was going to hold off on this. I met Bruce Willis shortly before this. I was the special media consultant on the revival of The Twilight Zone in the mid 80s. And he had just gotten the part on Moonlighting. And he was on an episode called Shatter Day that I was on the set of with Wes Craven directing.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of those situations where Willis wasn't talking to anybody. He didn't want to talk to anybody. But I was off to the side, and I always fascinated by how these guys act. So we started talking, and he was talking about that he was auditioning for an action film, but the studio didn't want him. And so once he got it, once they insisted that McTiernan and the rest of the crew insisted that he be in it, and also he got next to nothing for it.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Yeah.
Then the studio, being as stupid as studios always are, said, oh, this is risky. This is a risky movie. In other words, nobody in Hollywood can see quality. They can only see the gimmicks and the stuff. We don't have a big star, therefore this is probably going to fail. So they let it out very slowly. That's why you had to drive for it. And also, by the way, Nico, I knew the author of this book.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I was the media guy at the Mystery Writers of America at that time.
That's so
cool. Walter Wager. He's had a bunch of his books made into movies, never under his original titles. He was a good writer, but he was a terrible titler. And also the big thing, and also he didn't feed the audience, because at the end of the book, the woman, the wife, she's the one who falls. She's the one with the watch, and she dies. Very wisely, the screenwriter of this movie, who's a very good screenwriter,
Interesting,
decided, no, we're going to save that. We're going to save that for
and apparently the kids were at the party too, so it was like a whole big thing.
Oh, no.
It was it was the same concept, but like small details kind of always make,
Yeah, Walter gave Hollywood dead cow, and Hollywood made it into steak. So
yeah, I was telling you guys earlier about that documentary I was watching, and like they mentioned that Bruce was kind of like the first bulky dude action hero kind of guy. So it made a lot of sense why there was that controversy you were speaking about.
Because he didn't look like Arnold.
Yeah, he wasn't like Arnold or Stallone.
I mean, he's pretty like ripped.
yeah, he's built.
But he had your
He's
average looking
lean,
kind of guy
yeah.
look,
Yeah.
and he also acted with humor. All the rest, although Schwarzenegger did humor too, but
Yeah.
kind of
All right. Awesome. Getting these backstory stories is awesome. Derek.
All right.
Not a fan.
So there's not a whole lot that I can
He
say that hasn't
hated
been
it. He
said,
hated
other than this movie sucks. No,
I know
just kidding.
You like Skyscraper better, right?
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. The chat's gonna kill me.
Better.
The Rock needs to be in every action movie ever.
Skyscraper was
I
better.
kind of agree.
Yeah.
I do love The Rock. He's hysterical.
All right, go
But
ahead.
it's so like the dialogue's great, the one-liners. A lot of movies they don't work, but in this one it seems like almost every single one of them is iconic, and they work and they fit in, not just for humor, but also like almost believable, like they would say that too at the same time. Just really well written dialogue, like when she's like John's still alive, and the other girl's like, how do you know? And she's like, only John could drive somebody that crazy. Yeah, so he's curled over there smashing shit. I was like, that's so funny, man. All the acting's good. Alan Rickman, obviously, Bruce Willis. It feels like I'm a big fan of most of his movies, but this is one of the few ones where I think I'm a fan of not just the movie, but his performance too. Like, I think that he did a really good job here. It feels like something he was born to do. Bonnie, and I forget her last name, but yes, thank you. Yes, I mean, she fits right into this whole universe too. Just her wit, and how strong of a female character she is. She just she's able to combat anybody on the screen, and her on-screen presence. Like every time she's on the screen, I just feel glued in. Like she just has a really good on-screen presence. There are some things that I nitpick about it, but that don't really take away from the quality at all. But for instance, there's a scene where there's two bad guys and they both have these machine guns. Each machine gun has a 30-round clip, but they shoot at Bruce Willis for about 3 minutes straight. And even he says, Jesus Christ. like about halfway through the clip because even he's thinking, how is this fucking possible? But you know, there's just
Maybe
little
they're
things
really, really bad shots.
yeah. Well, I mean, or really fast. They got the sleight of hand reload from Call of Duty.
Those guys became stormtroopers.
Yeah, they can't hit anything, but they have unlimited ammo.
Yeah.
It's some kind of cheat code. But in the hand-to-hand scenes too, it seems like when someone is landing their shots, the other person is just taking them. There's no blocking. There's no fighting back. It's like punch, and they're like, punch, You know, some of that stuff kind of bothers me. It's just that's not how a fight works. That's not how it happens. But you know, other than that, like I said, that's nitpicking. This is a great movie. It's like E-Rock said, this is a 10 out of 10. If you want an action movie, there's not very many ones that I would even put above this. I don't know if there are any, to be honest. I'd have to sit and think about it. It's just up there in terms of action movies. And you know, it just comes down to, I think everything just came together perfectly.
Awesome.
I agree.
And now the legend himself, who did a wonderful cosplay of this scene.
Yes.
Wonderful cosplay, my friend. Very, very well done.
Right on.
Owen, Die Hard, my friend.
Okay. Yeah, absolute classic. One of the all-time great action movies. Not much I can say that anyone else hasn't said, but I love how it was sort of the creation of the Valverde universe. It's like this and Commando and everything all take place in like the same subtle universe because it's all written by Stephen E. D'Souza. It's really more mentioned in the second one. But you have like the Pacific Couriers and stuff like this, and these are all companies that are used throughout these movies. It's like Speed, Commando, Die Hard, Lethal Weapons are like all kind of subtly connected that way, which is really cool. But to me, Die Hard is a trilogy. There's 2 other movies, but they suck. And to me, the main thing of Die Hard and what I think they lost track of in the later ones was getting rid of Holly. Like Holly is his reason for basically living in these movies, and you know he would do anything for her. And I never bought that they would like break up later on or whatever, and that he hadn't learned to stop being an asshole. And I was like, no, that was his arc in the first one because he was an asshole to her earlier on, and then he went through all that hell, and then he rescued her at the end. So you know the later movies, particularly 5, just like totally forgot like who the character was. But yeah, I love Bonnie Bedelia's Holly. My favorite funny scene, which I don't think anyone mentioned yet though, and something John McTiernan always does, is where he mocks the sort of testosterone fuel things. So you have the SWAT team arriving and they're like, let's go kick some ass. And that guy goes, ow! And he pricks himself on a rose. So I absolutely love that. It's just like just the total opposite of what you'd expect, which I like here. He just sort of does that. Great action scenes, great dialogue. Hans as you know, one of the all-time great villains, if not the greatest action movie villain, although I may surprise you later with what I say.
Right.
But yeah, classic movie.
Cool. Did it make you want to get some Twinkies?
Yes. Yes.
I wanted some Twinkies after I watched the movie for sure. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question.
No
for
one has
guys.
mentioned the sleazy, conniving betrayal guy that was trying to get Holly. Nobody mentioned that guy.
Oh yeah.
Man, that was so satisfying when that guy died.
Yeah, what made me mad was they tried to blame Bruce, and Bruce, you know, or John, and he's blaming himself. And I'm like, I mean, who cares? The guy was a dickhead.
Yeah.
I went to school with him.
Oh shit!
No way.
Really?
He was also the dickhead in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. He's a great actor. He plays it so well. I actually want to punch him.
Well, yeah, a lot of people did, and he was very unhappy about that.
Oh no!
When he was in
What about
school,
Richard
he was
Atherton?
the lead in The Music Man. He was the
Yeah.
charmer in the school.
He was
Yeah.
the Music Man.
Yes.
Are you thinking Atherton, or are you thinking the guy?
Talking
that
about Richard Atherton, right?
Atherton. William Atherton.
I think
William
he's talking
Atherton.
about the other guy.
I'm
Yeah,
talking about
that's
that
fine.
guy he's like,
Coke
hey,
smoke.
John,
Coke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
John,
Yeah.
that guy.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I remember
He's like,
when,
hey,
when I was
I
watching
can
the
I
film,
can give him to you. You know that guy.
You know,
that guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
John,
remember
John Boy. That guy.
I remember watching the film when William Atherton. Remember, he went to Holly's house and then talk to the maid, and then he said, listen, you either let me in or I'm going to report you to the INS." The whole audience going, "Ooh," that was a pretty bad. That was
They're
pretty
like-
bad. But yeah, he's
Oh,
great.
we
I mean,
got-
as a villain,
Yeah.
great,
Andy
as an asshole
Senor
character, he's
from
fantastic.
Popcorn Planet hanging out with us. What's going on, brother? Yeah, man. He
Yay.
said William Atherton rocks. He says, nice. He's watching, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah, he does.
All right, let us move it on here.
Moving on
Let's
up.
move it on, John Boy. All right, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. That's right. 1990. What a year that was. 2 years right
I
after the
was
first
10.
film. They didn't waste any time with the sequel in this one.
I was negative
Now, here's-
2.
Here's my experience.
You guys are all young.
Here's my experience with Die Hard 2. I went out and I did not see Die Hard 2 on TV. It came out on VHS. Was the first time. I wanted to wait. I didn't want to pull a Die Hard 1 all over again experience. I was like, I don't want to watch nothing edited. I want to go out and buy it. I went out and bought Die Hard 2 on VHS, and all my friends made fun of me. They were like, Die Hard 2. Yeah, that's how they all laughed. They all laughed like that. They're like, that's the worst movie of all time. That's
unison,
the
too.
worst in the trilogy. That's one of the worst action movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh my
No,
god,
What?
you wasted so
I
much
am really
money.
sad. I am sad for you that
Yeah.
all of your friends
Why
were
were you friends with these
Oh, I didn't give a
like
fuck.
evil masters.
I flipped them all off and went home and watched.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Right.
I just remember it kind of helped my viewing experience actually.
But was it also
And
Pan
so
and Scan?
I went in and I even talked to a couple of other people too. I was like, hey, you seen Die Hard 2? And they're like, oh man, that movie's horrible. Like they like nothing but negativity. So I went at home,
Holy
popped it in my VHS, my VCR. And dude, I really enjoyed the hell out of Die Hard 2. I was like, dude, this is badass. This is a fun sequel. This is a fun movie. What's everybody like destroying this movie? You know, yeah, it has your typical sequel tropes in there, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, in terms of enjoyment value and entertainment value, Die Hard 2 is fucking legit, bro.
Yeah.
It is legit.
Yeah.
Action,
Absolutely,
fun,
man.
dude. Like,
No
it's
doubt.
It's a fun watch. So I don't know. I mean, there's another reason why I chose this movie, because I wanted to hear what you guys thought about it, good or bad. You know, let me have it for sure if you think it sucks. But I mean, I wanted it to be in the conversation because it never is.
Mhm.
Especially when you see the public voting poll results when we at the end of the video.
I didn't see it yet.
People
Sorry.
argue.
Oh, you
Die
can
Hard.
guess.
We're still
can
arguing
guess.
today. Die Hard is a Christian movie. No one's talking about Die Hard 2. It's not even coming up in the conversation.
Oh my goodness.
They at this point they would probably say, "Hey, Eyes Wide Shut is a Christmas movie." Then Die Hard 2 right now. That'll be the conversation, right? And so I was like, dude, I rewatched it recently for tonight, and I still had a blast. Badass, violent, people getting shanked in the head. I mean, it's just a fun action
Right through
movie.
the
I mean,
eye.
what else do you want from your sequel? Do you want your sequel to be garbage, or do you want it to be a fun ride? So I enjoyed the film. All right, Rick, destroy it.
Let's
You know,
hear your
Rick.
cake.
Rick is not going to destroy it. Rick is going to explain it.
Oh,
And
Okay.
that is there's only one thing. If Die Hard 2 was released at a different time, it would be considered one of a fine action movie, a really good one. In fact, Willis and McClane doubles down on the effort and emotion, passion and compassion in this one. Some of my favorite sequences that I use as an example of creating involvement in the audience in an action scene involve his use of the walking the walking path. What's that called? The automatic path. His use of that and the escalators and all the rest of it is extraordinary. His use of the gun is extraordinary. There's only one thing wrong with this movie. It's the sequel to Die Hard. If
Exactly.
Die Hard didn't exist, Die Hard would be revered. Die Hard 2, Die Harder would be revered. But it follows Die Hard.
So if they renamed it something else, you think it would be a little bit more impactful, like
No,
not
and
Die
not-
Hard,
it's
but like
still Bruce Willis. It's still Bruce Willis doing his thing. And of course, the villains aren't nearly as memorable as the villains were in Die Hard 1. It's still a very good movie. It's just
I'm stunned. I'm hearing this from Rick right
I'm
now.
I'm gonna
that's
say
what-
some
Wow.
similar
I enjoy it.
things actually. So it's
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right.
Yeah.
it's a shame that it's a sequel to Die Hard because you can't follow it.
Mhm.
All right. Rick, anything else?
Yeah, there was, but I can't think of it now. It was
come back to it, yeah.
more, it was more personal stuff, how I was involved or whatever, but I don't remember now.
Yeah, if you remember,
Carry on, everybody.
come back.
Let's go with other people.
All right, we're going to go straight to Ian. Go ahead.
Ian.
ooh, okay. Well, this was an attempt to create Die Hard in a sense. It
Okay.
happens at Christmas. He is still the kind of fumbling kind of cop who can't, who's thrown into a situation. And it
I'm sorry.
works.
Didn't mean
It
to say that
works.
one.
Okay, this is what everybody needs to understand.
Sorry.
It
Yeah.
works.
Mhm.
It is more intense.
Yes.
The story is more compelling. The fight scenes are better. And I think I would put it. I would repeat the same sentiment Rick said, but I would put it another way. If Die Hard 2 had come out first, and then Die Hard, all the hate would be on Die Hard. I
Right.
mean, there's only a couple things about Die Hard 2 that weren't quite as good, and that is that it doesn't have as compelling of a bad guy as the first one did. But I honestly believe if you just popped in to the DVD player and you had somebody sit down and they were from another planet and they did not know Die Hard 1 came out first, and you said, hey, we're going to watch Die Hard 2, or we're going to watch Die Hard 1, and you put in Die Hard 2, and then you put in Die Hard 1 afterwards, they'd be saying the same thing everybody says about Die Hard 2, but for Die Hard 1. It was really just a matter of which one was made first.
Interesting.
Especially if you put Alan Rickman in Die Harder. Then...
Well, I mean, just as is. I think that the story is more intense and more compelling.
Yes.
Especially being in the air and all this stuff and being at an airport.
I kind of
the air
agree
traffic
because-
control rooms and
Yeah, the one thing is that police officer that was tipped off by Bruce Willis in the very beginning who didn't do anything, his shit would be canned in real life. He
That
would
is
be
fine.
the man who was responsible for everything because there was
Right.
a tip off for this. The other thing that's a negative about Die Hard 1 that doesn't happen in Die Hard 2 is, and I know I'm going to be the turd in the punch bowl with this one,
Uh-oh.
folks, but
It's all good.
other than McClane's one-liners, all the ancillary jokes are really, really corny and cheesy, and they just do not hold up over time, in my opinion. I didn't like them then, and I don't like them, and I don't like them now. I just think they're too cheesy. I just
You
think
think they're
they're,
a little-
with
little
the
forced?
headphones and the guy
Yeah.
and the guy coming under the counter to get the chocolates. I was like, this is silly and an otherwise really good show.
Okay.
And so Die Hard 2 doesn't have that stuff. Yes, there are a couple things in Die Hard 2 where, like, for example, when he comes out of the ceiling and he's getting shot at point blank and, they all miss, that kind of thing does happen in Die Hard 2. But honestly, I really believe if Die Hard 2 came out first, everything people are saying about Die Hard 2, they would say about Die Hard 1. They're like, oh, it's a copy. Oh, they're just trying to do they're just trying to remake all the stuff that they say negative about Die Hard 2. They'd be saying about Die Hard 1 if it was reversed.
Actually,
if it had The Rock,
if Skyscraper came out first,
Oh,
it would be better than all the Die Hard movies. And yeah,
I'm
actually
like,
That's
watch
not-
Red Notice on Netflix. It's amazing.
I'm wondering too, for me, I don't know if it's my personal opinion, but like, I love Die Hard. Die Hard 2 almost feels like it's a more realistic scenario in our world today.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Die Hard 1, they're like, oh, we're getting some bonds and we're getting some gold bars and we're gonna blow up some towers. But like Die Hard 2, they're like, we're gonna fuck up your world. We're taking over all of your air traffic control, and then we're gonna ruin everything. And I feel like it's a little bit more realistic in Die Hard 2 versus Die Hard 1.
And we've had situations similar to that in our past, not too far back, and that definitely makes it hit home, for for the whole world, but especially as Americans, and with what we had. So yeah, definitely, I think it makes it hit harder as a story for sure.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, it was cool seeing original Django here, Franco.
I like that. I like
It was
that.
cool seeing him in the movie. I wanted to see him do a little bit more, but it was cool seeing him. And
He
there
was great.
were some fun side characters. I mean, in the first Die Hard, we had the dad from Family Matters. Well, now we had the dad from Good Times.
Yes!
Oh,
We got James, son.
Wait a
James.
That's
You
one
know.
thing too that Die Hard 2 has over is that twist in the plot.
Yes.
Oh,
He
yeah.
turns
That
out to be
guy-
awesome.
Yeah,
at
it
the
turns
end,
out
yeah.
to be, and I was like, whoa.
I'll get to that twist when it's my turn.
Okay.
He
I
tells
actually
off that
like-
guy's like, "Get this bureaucrat out of my face."
He's no Alan Rickman, but
No.
it's a different character. So I actually
Yeah.
liked
Yes.
William Sadler in this because I'm so used to him playing kind of weaselly. I mean, look at his character in this movie, and then
Grim
look at
Reaper?
what he did in Hard to Kill.
Yeah, Grim Reaper.
Oh Vernon, right?
Yeah.
And then the Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted. Right.
Oh yeah.
I like him, but I mean, yeah, I get it. In terms of iconic characters, it's hard to beat. I want my detonators. All
I want
right,
my detonators.
Frank.
Count me in as a defender, a big fan of this film. I love
Oh,
this film.
hey.
I mean, the stakes are much higher in this film
I
than the
can't get-
previous
I can't
film. Like we talked about earlier. The first film, the villains are really robbers, bank robbers, right? They're stealing bonds. Here, they're terrorists. They blew up a plane.
Yeah.
They kill. They crash a plane. I mean, they kill
Yeah.
hundreds of people. I mean, come on. I mean, that's I just like how the stakes got higher. Everything is more serious. I mentioned it's like intense and stuff. It's really intense, and I like how in the first 30 minutes, even though there's hardly any action in almost like first 30 or 40 minutes until that scene in the escalator, the escalator, you anticipating things are gonna go really, really wrong here. The airport getting paralyzed. Snowstorms coming in. And then you have all these bad characters setting things up. I just like how dire the situation gets more. The situation gets more and more dire as the film progresses, and finally until that hallway, gunfight, and then one more thing is, by then John Woo's films has come out, right? I think The Killer has come out, and there's a lot of John Woo in that first shootout. I mean, I sense there's certain John Woo imitation there, and when I remember watching it the first time, I was like, oh, that's John Woo, because obviously, we being big Hong Kong cinema fan, we already seen the first two Better Tomorrow films, and then The Killer right before this came out, and so obviously Rennie Harlan got a lot of inspiration from that. But and then also the characters, like Holly, the way they use Holly in the film, I thought was pretty smart. She's trapped in the plane, yet they were able to incorporate her into the story, and she became really part of the whole scheme to take down the bad guys and the brutality of the film. I mean, you crash a plane, you have ice pick in the eye, and then the brutal, like the conveyor belt fight, crushing the bad guys. So that everything's on a higher level in terms of violence, brutality, intensity, and that's really what I like. But then,
And the T1000 shows up.
T1000, yeah.
I kept waiting for him to say, "Where's John Connor?"
Get them to shoot him, and he just looks at him like, "Okay."
Pull out John. And I like the airport personnel. I think the late Fred Thompson, did a wonderful job. He put everything in perspective. And then the twist in the film, the blanks, shooting the blanks. I mean, the plot is just more complex. They thought of all these things. Like they really put a lot of effort into making this plot as technically more complex, yet still you can follow it. And then in the end, when you realize they're shooting blanks, you're like, oh man, these guys are geniuses. They thought this all through. This is a well thought out plan. They're gonna get this captain. They're gonna get out of there and stuff. So, but then, and once again, in the end, it pays off. Everything pays off. You have that plane fight. You have how the landing lights. Everything pays off. And like I said, to me, this film is more of a Christmas movie than the first Die Hard because of the fact that you have snow. It's set in DC. It's cold. To me, this is more of a Christmas movie than the first Die Hard.
But it's usually not cold in DC on December 25th because I live 45 minutes from DC.
Oh, wow.
I am stunned. I literally thought I was going to be the only guy that enjoyed R2 today. Hey, Eric.
Oh,
Eric.
It's very enjoyable. It's just not Die
Yeah.
Hard.
Eric,
Exactly.
Die Hard 2, Eric.
That's
Die
me.
Harder.
This is part of my annual Rennie Harland December double feature with Cliffhanger, baby.
Yeah.
Great double feature.
Nice,
You know,
man. Yeah.
I think when I don't know, the first handful of times I watched this when I was younger, I did have some problems with it that have been alleviated over time. I did have a little bit of a problem back in the day with John Amos and Art Evans in terms of, I think they kind of, I don't know, pushed it a little hard with their performances, but now I actually do kind of I enjoy both of them. I just kind of got used to it. Also, the opening shot is like McClane's car bumper, and always thought that was kind of like an awkward opening shot to the film. But again, after that, we start getting on the right path when we got our boy William Sadler doing his badass morning workout routine.
Yeah, in the nude.
Yeah, I'm just
The flesh.
man. Yeah. And then again, I'm a big fan of movies that are set in the winter and take place mostly at night. So it's like this is right up my alley. I do think it pairs well with the original film. And nowadays I feel like I enjoy it a little bit more every time I rewatch it. I mean, it's just paced so well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like it starts and it just keeps rolling. You don't, with an action movie, dead weight is a big thing for me. It's a big negative. And this movie doesn't really do that. And that's really really a big thing for me. And yeah, they do up the stakes. I mean, when the first time I saw the film, the plane actually blew up, I was kind of in shock.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I do like the reactions, especially in McClane when he's just sitting on the stairs, completely dejected at his failure to save, hundreds of people died. You know what I mean? And he's trying to deal with it. And I like that. So yeah, McClane is still vulnerable in this film. So that, and if you look at the final fight, the villain kicks his butt. I mean, he loses the final fight in this film. He just gets owned and thrown off the plane. But luckily he pulled the gas line thing. So yeah, I think this is a film that it continues to grow on me over time. You get a cameo from Sergeant Al Powell, which was nice. And you get Robert Patrick and John Leguizamo's in this film, and you can barely notice him because they kind of cut it kind of fast. But yeah, this is one I like it. I certainly enjoy it.
Can I point out one thing real quick? I think one reason we felt that we were more involved while watching this film was because this film starts without credits. We went right into the film. I think this was one of the earliest modern action film where it didn't start with the credits. Die Hard, obviously the first time you have the opening credits, all throughout that whole 10 minutes, which I missed in the theater. But this one, the moment they show you the title, boom, you went right into it.
Right.
You didn't see the credit until the very end. I think that really helped you in getting yourself more involved in this film because it just took you right into the situation, right into John McClane's, conundrum, his predication, predicament. So I think that's one reason why, as an audience, we felt much more involved in this one than the first one.
All right. Derek.
All right.
Derek.
So, yeah, I also really enjoy this movie. So I'll start with the things that I really like about this. I'll kind of keep it short. I have a lot of notes, but I'll kind of nitpick through them as I go. Another great cast, Bruce Willis, it just feels like he kind of flawlessly steps right back into this role. Like I said, it's one of the few, like I said, I like all his movies. He doesn't take away from any movies for me. He's in a lot of great movies. I like to see him on screen, but as far as performances, John McClane is his pinnacle for me. When he steps into that role, it feels natural, which is odd because everybody's kind of mentioned, it's not what he was known for, especially at the time. I really like one of the things I like the dialogue is great again, but one of the quotes and scenes I really like is the old lady on the plane who's telling her, she's like, but now I've got this. And she's like, I tried it on the dog. Poor thing limped for a week. And, I love that stuff. Throwing that in there every now and then. Again, with the performances of everybody that came back, just like I said, they just it just feels like they never stepped out of the roles. It's almost like they're those same people again. Whereas a lot of times in a sequel, the acting performance is different. So it really changes the dynamic and can take away from a movie. And I don't feel like they didn't do that, at least not at this point in the franchise. You know, I like that these movies, and especially the first two, can add the drama without taking away from the action and the awesome stuff that, you know, the blood and the gore, and you still get all this awesome kill scenes and John McClane's still fighting for his life, but you still get the you know, the family dynamic, relationships, you know, and the bad guy's perspective. You get all these things thrown in without taking away from anything else. And I think that's really special, and that's hard to do. Especially it's even harder to convey to the audience. And I like the setting of this movie better, like somebody else said already before, in the airport. It just, I don't know if that's just because like of some of the points I pointed out, or if it's just because, you know, like somebody else said, it just feels more realistic. It feels like something that could happen any given day, you know, at an airport. And like the air traffic control scene is just incredible. Already one of the most stressful jobs that I could imagine having. And they just add all this other chaos into it, and it feels believable. And I'm like, man, I don't envy those people at all. But that being said, some of the same things that I said negatively about the first one kind of still translate to this. The hand-to-hand is better, but some of the same issues, people just kind of taking punches. A lot of the situations feel forced to kind of get John McClane back into this, you know, similar situation. Like, you know, you can go from the big story plot feeling like it's the same thing over, but even like the simple fact that he's going through it again, the small coincidences like they throw in to progress the story. Like, he recognizes the main villain, you know, his wife's on this particular plane, he's in this airport, you know, he happens to have his gun in his badge. There's a whole bunch of things that kind of, you know, play in that I'm like, I don't know if that would take a lot of coincidence. But other than that, and some of the other complaints I said about the first one, I don't have anything else bad to say about it, because like Ian said, if this would have came out first, this would have been the Die Hard movie. This would have been, you know, the OG, the one that everybody talks about as being the classic. I think it's just a product of being the second one. Like Rick said too, it's just not Die Hard because it came out after it, not because it's not as good. It just came out after it.
All right, copy that.
All right.
Owen, I have this image. You can go next, my friend, but I have this image just for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, you can talk about that.
And it also was actually I've watched this movie the other night for the first time in a couple of years, and it was only on this viewing whenever I realized that Holly was going over Nakatomi notes, because for some reason I'd never noticed it before, where she was looking over it, and I was like, oh, there's actually a nice connection to the first one there. But yeah, there are moments in this movie which are some of my favorite moments of the franchise. Like the ejector seat scene had all of us cheering in the cinema at the time when that happened.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's the best scene of the franchise. I love that scene. I think I snuck into the cinema at the time. I was 12 when I saw it, and everyone roared when it happened, and we were just like, "Oh, that was amazing! It was just so cool." And then, as Frank says, I think William Sadler as Colonel Stewart is the most diabolical villain of the entire franchise. He is the most evil. Like that's why I think he's actually the best villain, because he's not charming, he's not likable. Like with Hans Gruber, you're sort of like, yeah, you know, I can get behind that guy. You know, I'll work for him, get rich, whatever. But Colonel Stewart, no, he's a psychopath. He crashes a plane of 300 people and murders them and doesn't even blink. And I was like, yeah, that's maybe the most diabolical villain thing in action history. I can't think of anybody who's done anything that bad, apart from maybe Thanos.
Apart from Thanos.
He had his reasons.
Yes. I'm actually on Team Thanos, but that's another story.
Yeah. I think we all are.
The only thing that bothers me about Die Hard 2 is I find Carmine just a bit annoying and just unbelievable that way. He's like, no, nobody's that much of an asshole. Yeah, they are, but they're just. I just find him just too jarring, and I'm like, no, I think he would be more understanding as the story goes on, and he is, but it takes too long for him to get there. And there's some ropey dialogue as well. I think the script's not quite as good, but well paced. A guy gets his head crushed in a conveyor belt in the opening fight scene. That's amazing. Yeah. That needs to be celebrated. Really well paced, some good kills, and then satisfying finale, huge body count. So yeah, I actually really like this one. It's really good. Yeah, it's almost the last real Die Hard film because it's the last one with Holly in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting. Okay. All right. E-Rock.
Ooh. Okay, quick little backstory and then my opinion. Okay, so I'm the type of person that, like, if me and the lady go see a movie in theater and she whips out her phone, I'm like, what the hell do you think you're doing? Like, put it away. This is the cinema. Like, respect the area, So I always have to keep that in mind when it comes to Die Hard 2 because not everyone is like us.
Right.
So, like, if I'm talking to, like, a normal person, it's like, oh, do you like Die Hard 1 or Die Hard 2 better? And, they go, is Die Hard 2 the one in the airport? It's like, are they really that similar to a normal person that, they have to, like, it's the setting that really is, like, the deciding factor of these
I'm
two
surprised
movies?
they didn't say there was a Die Hard 2.
On the other hand, this is one of my closest friends. This is his favorite action movie of all time. So he has
Wow.
many.
Wow.
He has many like random facts that I always liked, and maybe Rick can tell me if they're true or not. One of them is which I could tell is in the first one. Bruce Willis had, like, a lot of his were ad-libbed one-liners, and they kind of caught on that everyone was liking them, so they gave him a lot more freedom in the second one to just ad-lib throughout the movie, and it was like you kind of caught on to be like, oh yeah, he's definitely just being Bruce, like, just throwing whatever comes to mind out there.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
let me just quickly comment. I was going to mention earlier, but I was going to save it to later, but you gave me the intro. You can chart the disintegration of the Die Hard series on the basis of the disintegration of Bruce Willis as a human being.
Wow.
I mean, he got so jaded so fast. And, you watch him now. You watch him take all these movies that just give him money and sleepwalk through them. You talk to Kevin Smith about the movie he worked with Willis on, and he idolized Willis. And Willis comes to the set and just acts like a total shit the whole time.
Confident, right?
The movies go down. You can watch the disintegration of him as an actor, as a Hollywood person. Carry on.
A little extra there.
And one thing that I always kind of like was always played in the back of my head was the make-believe place, Valverde is also in Commando, which kind of puts Die Hard and Commando in the same universe. I just thought, like, is that possible? Kind of cool. So, to wrap it up, I kind of had what most of your rooms look like. In my college apartment, I had the Die Hard trilogy framed posters, one and the other. The second one says bigger, badder, and better. And it's from, like, what everyone's saying is, I think it all comes down to the timing of it. Like, like, to me, I feel it's Die Hard 1 with a horse steroid in it, and we're off.
All right. Excuse me. Metal Tavern Podcast. Neko, go for it.
So I have to make another confession. After I purchased the trilogy for my husband before we were husband and wife, and back in 2002, I had only seen Die Hard 2. I had only seen it one time, and then we watched it together because I bought it as a present, and then we watched it recently. So I have seen Die Hard 2 a total of 3 times. I have no hate for Die Hard 2 at all.
Okay.
I feel like Die Hard 2 is much more realistic than Die Hard 1. Like, if you think of our world today, it could be more possible for this type of terrorist to kind of deal with things and, you know, demand things in Die Hard 2 the way they do in Die Hard 1. Regardless, I watched Die Hard 2 and he caught me. I took a nap.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Looking away. It's all
Oh
good.
boy.
Oh, shame.
And I don't know if it's because I wasn't engaged or if I was tired, but like with Die Hard 1, I'm on. I'm
Right.
on like
Mhm.
I'm on speed, kind of on. Like I'm like, it's Die Hard. It's Die Hard. We're gonna die hard, motherfucker. We're dying hard.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, right. Die Hard 2, I'm like, this is very realistic. This could be like a fucking documentary. It's so realistic. And then but that's not like anything against the actors or the story.
Mhm.
I feel like
Maybe the first one was more fun to you. A little more
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
but you
Uh-huh.
have to realize I saw 3 before I saw 1 or 2.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But wait till she tells you. She thinks that 3 is almost better than 1.
A lot of people have said that actually.
It's
3
my second favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 is
A lot of people
shit.
say
I have no words for 3. 3, I don't know why, because what year did 3 come out? Like
that. I think everyone
97?
says that.
97.
Yeah, I think 3 came out in 97, and I'm
Yeah.
like a young teen, and I'm like, oh my god, schools are being blown up and subways are being blown up, and I'm like, oh, I'm woke and I'm 17, so I think my life. But I saw 3 before I saw 2. Asshat. I saw 3 before I saw 2 or 1 in completion, because as we've learned, when they put things on TV, it's not the real deal. So I feel like I'm almost tainted sometimes for 1 and 2, because when I saw 3 for the first time, it was like, F you, I hate the ends, you know, like the whole like monstrosity, let's blow up
Uh-oh.
schools.
What?
Yeah.
You're blocked. You're blocked from the logo. You gotta get out of the logo.
Me?
Lady Pamela!
Oh.
Hi, girlfriend. Hey,
Hi, girlfriend.
She's just saying hi. There you go.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, hi.
No.
Oh no, blinded by the light. Jesus.
It's
Stopping
the
and saying
ghost
hello
light.
to everyone.
Oh my God, I'm so white.
You have no skin pigment.
same.
I'm
Same
so
girl, same.
sorry.
It's the
I'm so
ghost
sorry.
light.
Oh my God, I'm just white.
Tell her I'm wearing her t-shirt.
Oh, I'm
I
so
told her. I
sorry,
told her she's
everyone.
wearing your T-shirt. There.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry.
Just stop
Aw.
in and say hi.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to make a very sad, solemn announcement. You know, some things are just cut short in the
Oh,
prime
no.
of the height of their existence. Cowboy Bebop 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Hallelujah.
I haven't watched it.
That's
Don't-
legit, cowboy.
So sad. So sad.
Oh no.
So wide.
I don't think you're that
So
sad. I
wide.
saw the
So
review.
tragic.
I saw the review video.
I will miss you.
Girl, I don't even know. I haven't watched it yet. Cowboy
So
Bebop
sad.
was my jam back in 2000.
So
Well,
sad.
not 2000, 1999.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hey, Lady Pamela's out.
And it still will be, just not the live action one.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a surprise visit. All right. She's
Anubis,
out.
you
Go ahead,
talk
Anubis.
about-
Well, everyone's already really covered everything I was going to talk about. Thanks, guys.
That, yeah,
But
asses.
yeah, the one thing I did really like about this one, and in fact, I'm going to say that I have a soft spot for Live Free and Die Hard. I actually do kind of like that film.
Yes.
It's entertaining.
Me too. Me too.
Uh,
It's
But the
entertaining.
first
Maggie
3
Q.
are classics.
Maggie Q.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, dropping her down the elevator shaft. That's a great line, man. I mean, but I liked about Dick Thornburg and Holly's interaction on the plane. This was really good showcasing of the banter between both of them in Die Hard 2. Obviously, it is a little more real. The plane crash, that's pretty serious with kids and stuff. My favorite scene, I think Eon says, the ejection scene. That thing it cracked me up when it happened. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So I really love Die Hard 2, and I think everyone pretty much says the same thing. If it had not come after Die Hard, it'd probably be right up there.
Well, I'm a happy man tonight. I thought I was going to be the only guy that was going to talk.
I really thought I was going to be the only one too. I was just like, okay, I'm going to come in here and make a strong case for Die Hard 2, and I'm going to be the turd in the punch bowl, and nobody's going to enjoy me.
Well,
I am.
Did I miss anyone?
My favorite part about Die Hard 2 is Holly when she's like, "Oh yeah, I filed a restraining order against him," and I'm like,
"No, that was reversed."
She's like, "I knocked a couple of his teeth out."
Yeah.
That is your name, Dick.
Yeah.
What kind of champagne would you like?
Did I miss anyone? Did I get everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody. Frank, you talked, right? Everybody talked, right? All right, so it is time to vote. Until Rick, was there any extra tidbits?
No, I mean, just I'm glad you all enjoyed it. I wish I enjoyed it more, but once he lost his passion, compassion, effort, and emotion, once he got together with Samuel L. Jackson and fell 150 feet onto solid metal, just rolls over. I sort of go.
That's another day, another verses, another review.
Actually, I had a question for Rick. Did they? Sure. I thought I read somewhere a while back that they had to import snow since it was too hot where they were going to.
I read that too.
Right?
Or something like that.
It was one of the hottest years on. Oh, sorry, I didn't pay you.
No, go ahead. You're all right.
Well, it was one of the hottest winters on record. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we lived there. We lived 45 minutes from where it was filmed.
You were like 10.
Oh, well, let's just put it into the world perspective. Those motherfuckers did not need to be on snowmobiles because there is never enough snow here for snowmobiles.
Yeah, but it was a great scene.
It was awesome.
All right.
DJ Anubis is from Colorado.
We're gonna vote.
Okay, we're
all right.
voting.
Time to vote. Vote. All right, Rick, who you got, man?
If it only hadn't come out after Die Hard.
There it is.
Has to be,
Yep.
Has to be Die Hard for me.
Copy that. All right. Derek's taking the tally. He's on it.
Gotcha, man.
And Eric.
I think, regardless of the release date, I would pick the same film.
Okay.
And that's the one with Alan Rickman, Die Hard.
All right. Copy that. Ian.
Well, I do have to give a mention to, and this is a joke, but it's also not a joke. I don't know if you've heard of Die Hard 12, Die Hungry. But YouTube it.
Oh my God.
I'll write it down.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Okay, so that's my favorite one.
Okay.
All-time classic.
Okay.
But for me, it's Die Hard 2.
Oh my God! I am stunned.
If I put Die Hard 1 in and I put Die Hard 2 in, I think Die Hard 2 is the better movie.
Wow!
Oh my God!
I know I'm in the minority.
Here we go.
That's amazing. I'm so happy.
I love Die Hard 1. It's not that I don't love it. I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that Die Hard 2 is a better. Now, would Die Hard 2 be Die Hard 2 without Die Hard 1? With them going, okay, how can we make this better? How can we improve it? How can we do this?
Yeah.
Probably not. But I mean, honestly, if I'm just sitting down and I never heard of that, didn't know which one came out first or second or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I watched both of them. I think Die Hard, and I did watch them just for this again. I felt Die Hard 2 is more compelling. I thought the action sequences were better. I thought it was more intense of a movie, and I liked it better.
Awesome. All right.
Less cheesy too. Less cheesy.
Yes, Die
Frank.
Hard 2 is more realistic.
Frank, go ahead.
Plus, I have to make a correction. I mentioned earlier, like John Material made 3 of the best action movie. I said the 2 Die Hard and Predator. It should have been Predator, first Die Hard, and Hunt for Red October.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
So,
there's
Frank
his
is
vote.
on my wavelength. Frank is on my
Hunt
That's
for
wavelength.
Red
Frank's vote.
October is the vote.
my vote goes to
Predator.
Eyes Wide Shut.
It's not on the list. It's
It's
not on the
still, it's
list.
still the most Christmas, of all.
I
But
love,
anyway,
I love
okay,
it.
I'm voting for Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
I like
I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
It's more compelling, it's more intense, more serious. The
We got a
stakes are
barn
higher. It's just a more serious film. I mean, look, I have nothing wrong. Nothing against Die Hard 1. I love it.
Yeah.
I just think that there wouldn't have been a Die Hard 2 had it not been a Die Hard 1, and I really applaud
Right.
them for doing, for making a sequel that's really as good as Die Hard 1, if not even better. So yeah,
Wow.
the rare
Wow,
instance where
this
the
is
sequel
awesome.
is,
Dude, this
is
is yeah.
good.
Some
So,
This
curveballs
is why
out there.
versus episodes are fun because you never
We have
know
a
what
tie
you're
so
gonna
far.
get, man. You're right. Ian.
You mean Owen?
I'm sorry, Owen.
Owen?
Go ahead, Owen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, God, it's actually really hard after watching the second one. Then I was like, "Oh, this is a really good movie." I've forgotten, and arguably, because of what's happened in real life, it's given the film more depth, and maybe it's almost like holds up better. But I gotta go with part 1. I love Alan Rickman, and it was the original that came first. There wouldn't be the second one without the first one. So I'm gonna go with Die Hard.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Owen. E-Rock.
I'm gonna kind of get on the boat with Eric up there. My deciding factor in this versus, because you told me this a week ago, and I told you I have to think about it because I don't know. To quote who determined my thing is no more merciful beheadings and call off Christmas. Alan Rickman is my deciding factor between the
There it
two, so
is.
I'm going with 1.
Nice. All right. Nubis.
I just laughed because Derek put Fright Night.
For the win.
I don't know if you guys caught it a couple of years ago, maybe not quite that long. They did a commercial for Die Hard batteries. Did you see that?
Yes!
That was amazing.
Yeah.
To me, there's really no loser here because I really like both these films.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the nostalgia and me driving an hour to go see it, Die Hard 1 is my pick.
All right. Love it. All right. And Neko, I think we know, but go ahead.
Well, if Die Hard 3 were in this entire thing,
Oh, look at that. That's your
Uh-oh.
favorite. Yeah.
that would be the winner.
Controversy.
Wow.
However,
Interesting.
I love both films, and I think watching the other day, I forgot a bunch of crap. Like I'm like, holy shit, this happened.
She totally forgot about the
At the
bait and
blanks.
switch.
Yeah,
at the
I'm
end.
like,
Oh,
why
wow.
why are they changing their bullets? Why are they doing that? And he's like, just wait. Just wait. And I'm like, what is going on? Why are they changing out? Why are they now blue and not red? So
Then
anyway.
he cuts his throat, and you're like, "Oh shit! Yeah, that's right."
and the throat slice. Anyway,
Yeah.
I like both
Nice.
movies a lot. And I agree with everyone that honestly, the plot and the execution of 2 probably would be better if Die Hard 1 didn't happen. But I'm going Die Hard 1, motherfucker.
So, but with that logic, that means it's better than With a Vengeance. Then
It's hard. It's hard for me
Oh,
because
no.
3 is
Yeah.
my 1 seed. So it's
Don't
like
get it started,
3,
Samurai.
1,
Don't get
2.
it started.
I'm just
3,
kidding. I'm
1,
just having fun.
2.
Derek, where are we at with the poll there?
Man, we've got 5-3. So it's hanging in there.
5-3.
Shit.
All right, Derek, you're next. Go ahead.
All right, man. Okay, so It comes down to a couple things. I didn't know what I was going to pick either, like E-Rock said. So when this came up, I decided I was going to rewatch them. And I didn't know. I almost debated watching part 2 before part 1, just so I could switch it up a little bit. But I thought that's unfair. You know, you got to do it in the order these movies came out, because that is telling to the originality of each film. So that being said, I loved both of these movies. Like, I actually liked them both a little bit more than I remembered, just because of the small details I noticed when I went back, really trying to pick things apart this time. But the main things come down to me, or it comes down to the fact that when I watched part 2 this time after part 1, it felt very derivative. It just, because I watched them immediately following, and it felt like, yeah, they turned some stuff up, but it was like the exact same movie. Like, it just felt like the exact same stuff. They throw in some stuff. They add some two extra twists. You know, in the first one they had a couple, but they add some more. And you know, the explosions are bigger and stuff. It's like, but it just still felt like I watched the same movie twice. And so I have to give points to originality in the first one and Alan Rickman. So the first one for me.
All right.
Die Hard.
All right. Nice. Copy that.
Alan
Oh wait, hold on.
Rickman
I'm looking at the comments now, because Mr. Tony of the Dead is talking shit.
There he is.
Talking shit, Mr. Tony of the Dead.
Oh.
Let's see you host a
man,
panel
talking
like this,
smack.
my friend, and see if you can do 5 things at once. No, I'm just messing with him. I love you, brother. He's like, Samurai Guy's not paying attention to the chat. Dude, I'm doing like 30 things, brother.
I said the panel's too good, man.
Yeah. No, I love you, brother. I
Jam-packed
love
panel,
you.
man.
You should have been on this panel, man. Maybe on the next one, we'll get you on the next one. Love you, brother. All right, here we go. All right, Samurai Guys. It's my turn to vote. And here's the thing, man. All of you have made Samurai Guy a very happy man. I'm very, very happy that Die Hard 2 is finally getting some respect. Finally getting some love. I'm stunned. There's even a couple of votes for Die Hard 2, to be honest. And I'm so happy. However,
Oh shit.
however,
Oh shit.
I gotta go with you always gotta go with your first.
Right.
Oh.
There you go, baby.
Oh, baby.
There you go, baby. I gotta go with my first. I gotta go with the original. I remember
Scared the shit out of anybody else.
Oh.
I remember going into FYE, and
Are
they
they
had.
even
I walked in
around
there.
anymore?
No.
The one where I'm at is, but it's probably the last one in existence. But I go into FYE, and as soon as I walk in, they had a Blu-ray. There was a Blu-ray set of all the movies that came out at one time, and it was a limited edition. And it was all the movies were in a Nakatomi Plaza model.
Shut
Wow.
the front door.
And
Shut
the guy was displaying it, and I walked in, and I was just like, "Oh, that's
I'll take that.
like, that sucks." I felt hurt because I couldn't buy it. But yeah, I got to go with my first, man. But yeah, Die Hard 2 definitely got the respect it deserved tonight for sure. Now, just for shits and giggles, let's see what the poll has voted
It was
for.
ugly last time I
Oh,
looked.
it's not even close.
It's gonna be ugly, boys. It's gonna be so bad.
Oh
Come on, public.
No.
Come on, public.
Can't argue with the
people.
public. Can't argue.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, but in a
The
way, I
customer is
wanted Die
always
Hard
right.
2 to at least be
But
30% or 40%.
Golly,
you know.
10%. Come on.
Samurai, it's what
They're
we're
not
talking
film
about.
people, you know.
It
Film
is-
people have their own sticks up their own butts, you know.
Oh my goodness.
I called it the movie reviewer disease. What happens is you review the next movie on the basis of the last 3 you saw that day. So yeah, of course we're going to think, you know, we're going to react differently than just a normal guy who goes to the movie maybe once a month.
Right.
Very
Oh
definitely.
man, well this was a lot of fun. This was a blast. Another great episode of Versus. We'll do another one next week. Christmas themed movies. We're gonna keep it going. Happy December, everyone. Thanks again, all you badasses, for watching and hanging out with us on this episode of Versus. Y'all know what you need to do. Y'all know already. Subscribe to E-Rock. Get your shredding on. You know what I'm saying? Shred it. Follow Action Elite, son. Follow Owen. He cosplayed just for today, baby. That's dedication. Now imagine when you go to his actual site and see the knowledge
and the YouTube channel. Because we do YouTube now. And next week, actually, next Friday is the last video we're doing of the year. We're doing 2021, the year in action. So we're going to be going over all the movies of the year. So
there you go, guys.
That.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll make sure to have it in the link. Everyone's information's in the link, though.
Have it in the link. Great idea. My next podcast for actionfilmautopsy.com will be the best and worst of the year. I don't know where I got that idea.
That's a great idea, Rick.
There you go.
If you're in the link, I'll subscribe for sure.
Yeah. So make sure you guys are following the Action Elite, Facebook and YouTube, and the Master Remaster. That's right. You want to buy everything 88 Films in Eureka. You want to listen to the knowledge that Frank Dang has on those commentaries, man. He has all of the knowledge. That's right.
King of the commentaries.
That's right. Metal Tavern Podcast. Y'all know what you need to do. Follow the tag team champions of metal and horror. That's right. Follow that. And Flick Snacks and Nick Snacks. Derek, subscribe. Channel's growing.
Eric,
That's right.
Hey,
he's
got new hoodies. Derek's got new hoodies.
And I know y'all like cereal now. I know y'all like some cereal, but retro cereal's the best. So you go subscribe to Retro Cereal. Ian, that's right. And Asian movie enthusiast, Eric.
AME.
That's right.
Rick.
Up in the shadows. That's right. And follow Rick Myers. That's right. The legend himself. Make sure you guys- and you know, remember now, he's Kung Fu Santa. You know what I'm saying? So you better if you're naughty, this is gonna happen. You know, it's not gonna work out.
Yes.
You know, Kung Fu Santa's gonna come for you.
Goldberg's
naughty,
gonna slam
it's
your
not
ass,
gonna work
man.
out.
Don't
There you
forget
go.
the guy that puts this together for us, Mr.
Putting the hat there.
Samurai.
Oh, and if you're new here, subscribe to the Old Samurai Guy, of course. And thanks again for everybody watching.
Thank
Quick before we end it today, quick pose for the thumbnail. All right, ready? Everybody get ready to pose on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's my new thing. I'm gonna add the verses. Versus crew, don't go anywhere. We got to discuss next week, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.